Hey, what's up? Hey, it's me. Sorry, didn't mean to scare you. Hey, welcome to Total Schmidt Show. Welcome back. We're here every Tuesday, 6 o'clock, talking entertainers. This week, my friend, Frank Townsend from the city of Chicago, Illinois. Hold still, buckle up. Let's do it. Welcome to Total Schmidt Show. How you doing? I'm back at sea. Here's what you're going to get from this show. It's kind of like quarantine comedy, except I'm not going to be home. Actually, it's kind of like quarantine comedy and a combination of all the stuff I've done online over the last year or so. There's sketch stuff, live stuff, stand-up stuff, travel stuff, and of course, conversations with others who do the same things that I do on a daily basis. That's it. That's the whole show. Then I'm going to record it all and put it on the intraweb. Sometimes. Usually late. Always late. Maybe. I don't know. And weekly? Nah, maybe. Sort of. Could be. Either way, sit back. I hope you enjoy whatever the hell it is I put together for this week on Total Schmidt Show. Hey guys, thanks for coming back to Total Schmidt Show. Every Tuesday we talk to entertainers who work all over the world, people I see when I travel. Do me a favor. Like the video. It's very important. If you can do me a favor, you can like the video. Also, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me a ton. I could use more subscriptions. The more subscribers, the more viewers, the more it helps me with YouTube. And it doesn't cost you anything. It costs you nothing. You get to watch the videos, and it costs you literally nothing. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the social media buttons wherever they are after I edit this video. Also, there'll be a ticker throughout the show. You can watch all the content on the channel on the Lenny Schmidt Comedy Network. It's all pre-produced, or it's pre-produced. It's all produced by me, shot, everything, the equipment, the deal, the time. We have no sponsors, no commercials, none of that stuff. I'm supported solely by subscribers, sponsors, followers, and so forth. If you want to be one of those, go follow the ticker. Go to payifyoucan.com. There's lots of options that you could support the channel financially. You can go to Venmo, Cash App. It's all Mr. Lenny Schmidt. Anything you can throw at us to help us out to keep the shows going, I would really appreciate it. Anything from $1, $2, $5, $4. You can also join the Patreon page if you want more behind-the-scenes stuff and live shows and all kinds of stuff. So, besides that, let's get right to the show. This is Frank Townsend. He's one of those guys that worked on ships for years. We're both from Chicago, and we never had the chance to work with each other until this particular cruise. This is another video from almost a year ago. The next two, I promise you, are going to be updated, closer. We're getting closer to catching up. We are, I promise you. But sit back for now. Enjoy my good friend, the comedian, the one and only, Frank Townsend.
On this ship right now, as we speak, there are over 50 different nationalities on this ship, all getting along, all having a good time together. That's a beautiful thing, and whenever it happens, you need to take advantage of it, because it doesn't happen a lot. If you ever go into a room and you see black people, white people, Latinos, and Asians, oh, you're going to have a good fucking time in that room. Because you get to find out the truth about everybody. Find out you can put blacks and Latinos in the same room without them fighting. Just in case you do, we got white people that's going to call the police. And the Asians can take pictures of the crime scene. So we got everything covered.
So what did you do? I know that you started working, you started hitting Zanies again in Chicago, right?
Yes. Okay.
After they opened up. And what did you do during COVID, too, on top of that? So
not a damn thing. I thought about it on OnlyFans. It got bad. It got bad, real bad. So, let's see. Little odd jobs, odd shows there, here and there. So I was picking up little cash wherever I could. So, you know, the stuff that was popping up, you just did it because, one, you wanted to be on stage, and two, you wanted something. So you found out exactly how far you would go to do comedy and stuff you would and wouldn't do.
Right.
And I had friends that were doing shows in closets, and they're like, hey, you want to tell jokes in this closet? It's like 4 coats in there, man. It's going to be nice. I'm like, nah.
Well, I did some of those Zoom shows. But work-wise, man, I did everything. I did Uber. I did, whatever I could to make money. I moved furniture for a while. I helped some people move. Yeah, until I realized I'm over 50 and I shouldn't be doing that. I blew my knee out really bad.
That's a good reason to stop, sir.
Dude, I was coming home every night icing both my knees, and my daughter's like, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. I'm just trying to make a buck, man.
Dude, now I did a couple of Zoom shows. How was that for you?
I hated it. I only did it for 2 reasons. One is I kind of like being challenged to perform my show in different situations that are difficult, to try and remember my act and focus, and it was a different style of comedy. So I kind of like the challenge of doing it. And I also wanted to try to remember my act. And honestly, what I did more than anything was I wrote new material, and I have like a Patreon page with just a few followers. But I would do a show like every month or every other month, just call I call it Schmidt Show. And it was live stand up where I did all my new stuff.
Oh, cool.
And I would run it by the people, and they would give me feedback. I mean, it was the only thing I had to do new material, dude. I got to the point where I knew guys that were writing the whole time. I can't write unless I'm performing to go with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It messes me up, because then if I don't write, I'll write something. If I don't get on stage and do it within the next 2 or 3 days,
You lost it.
I'll either forget it, or I won't have the moment back.
Yeah, you
know what I mean?
literally lose the mood of that joke.
Right.
And people don't understand that. The Zoom shows for me, it was sanitary. It was just like, this is cool because this is a conversation between me and you. So
Yeah,
it
right.
doesn't matter what's going on around us.
Right.
But when literally everyone you're talking to is on the other side of that screen, that's crazy.
Yeah, right.
And one of the things, like, my son is always around. He's always hanging out. And if I'm on like a phone call, he's always going to come in, see who I'm talking to.
Right.
If I'm doing FaceTime, he's going to come in, jump in. Somebody's going to see my son. And I told him I was doing shows. And I told him this is important, daddy's actually working.
Right.
Yep, he popped up in a couple of Zooms. Sure did. People loved him, and I was like, I'm going to kill him. Gonna kill him. Oh, I wanted to kill him. I really did. It was the point once he left, I still couldn't get it out of my head. He was like a bad heckler.
He's how old?
Now he's
sixth
11.
Grade? Sixth grade, right?
Mhm.
You
Yep.
said? Okay.
And so,
That's
yeah.
a great age. That's an age, too, where he just comes in to mess it up on purpose, but pretends like he forgot.
Oh, my God. Yes, that's him. It's like you met him. This is... Wait, one of the best
I'm sorry,
stories-
Daddy. Are you busy?
Wait.
You know I'm busy.
One of the best stories. New Year's Eve, I did a New Year's Eve cruise and brought the family. My goddaughter, her parents came, so it was like a big thing for us. And we all hanging out. We were working with Warren B. Hall.
Yeah, I love Warren.
And I hadn't seen Warren in a while. We ran into Warren on the pool deck. So I saw him, gave him a hug, a little dap. My son never met Warren a day in his life. And he runs up and gives Warren a big hug. And Warren, being Warren, is like, hey, little dude, I don't think I know you. And my son goes, know me? I'm Frank Jr. It was like you, everybody knows me. I was like, Warren still laughs about that one.
That's great. How do you not know who I am?
He's like, yeah, my son thinks he's a celebrity.
Oh my! Well, I probably used to bring my girls every summer when I'm divorced, and I would have them for the whole summer.
Right.
So it was either bring them with me on the cruises or don't work. This is when they were minors.
Right.
They were kids. They were 16 or whatever, 16 and 14, and then even younger. But so I would set it up with Carnival that they would book me on usually the ship out of Long Beach, and I would either A, do a long run with the girls, or B, only work that ship.
Right.
But I brought them with me constantly.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it was actually a lot of fun, and they dug it because they were celebrities. Because once you're on the ship, first of all, the crew loves the girls.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're like, oh, the girls are here, and got to the point where every summer they're like, are the girls coming this summer? I'm like, yeah, they're coming, whatever. So, but they were always there. But they knew, and the longer you're on a ship, the more the crew knows you, and the more you're a celebrity.
Right.
Yeah, and if you're the daughter of the comedian, you know what I mean?
That's just gravy, man.
And I used to teach improv to kids and stuff, so I bring Lily on stage, and we do improv together.
Really?
Yeah, it was her little thing, man. She loved it.
I would bring Franklin on stage for the theater show, the Family Friendly.
Yeah.
And he would do a joke.
Oh, that's
And
great.
Whatever,
man.
and it got to the point where the last time, now my son grew really big. It's cute when they're little.
Yeah.
Now this dude's like 6'7". He's tall.
Is he really 6'7"?
No, he's not 6'7", but he's tall
big,
as
tall
hell.
kid. Is he taller than you?
He's close.
Really?
For an 11-year-old,
Dude, sixth
he's
grade,
the
that's
biggest.
huge.
He's big.
Yeah.
And so it's very interesting. The last time I brought him, he's starting to feel himself. He thinks he's a comedian.
Yeah, right, great.
And he's like, hey, so did I do good? I was like, yeah, you did pretty good. Did I do better than you? Not at all, kid. No, you didn't. And because that's when the comic in you comes like, no.
Yeah, you get
He's like,
defensive.
those people think I'm funnier than you. It's like, no, they don't, kid. First of all, I write all your material and I book all your shows. You did nothing without me. I mean, I literally talked to him like that. I was like,
Right.
and he didn't care. He was like, yeah, I'm great.
Yeah, that's Well, Lily used to do the thing where, because my thing with teaching the kids was the best way to work with the kids is you got to make them comfortable when they're up there. So I was the butt of every joke. So somehow I'm the bad guy. So Lily and I worked out a routine where I would bring her up and I go, here's my daughter Lily. She'd come up and she would make fun of things I did in the show. She goes, when you talked to that one guy, I can't believe you said this and you were lying about that and this. I mean, and so yeah, so she just rips me. And I stand there and I go, are you done taking me down? I go, can we do the thing that we're going to do? Yeah, I guess we can do it. So she was very high, you know what I mean?
That's good.
Yeah, so she loved it because she's a star, and I always and like with every time I worked with a kid, the key is really to make them look like the star on stage.
Yes,
because then they don't feel uncomfortable at all. You know, and
they're not waiting for the moment.
Right, and because they're getting it constantly, and you're feeding it to them, and you're taking it, and that's all. It works, and they're not nervous. I used to do a whole improv show where I would just do the whole show was improv, and it sucked because you depend on the whole show to be improv. It was horrible. So I changed it to I would bring somebody up at the end of the show, but I would make sure that it was someone I knew wanted to be up there. And one time I made a mistake and didn't. I was talking to these brother and sister at the whole show, and the sister was making fun of the brother. So I brought him up on stage to do this sketch I do. It's genius. It's a one-hit answer thing where we each answer. And I bring him up. And he's standing next to me. I put my hand on his back, and man, I can feel him shaking like he is in the Arctic. And I mean, and I'm like, oh God, I totally put this kid on the spot. I'm like, I didn't even really think about it. I thought, but so I switched even harder to give him the upper hand. And then he felt better about it, and I got him out of there. So he was fine. But, man, he was scared to death.
Man, that public speaking thing is one thing. But then you start doing comedy.
Yeah.
Public speaking is scary enough when you just have to relay information. But then when you have to be funny and you don't feel prepared, oh, my God, those people, on-the-spot comedy is scary.
Yeah. Well, it's, it's the hard. I mean, we've been doing it so long now. I've been doing it. Yeah. How long have you been doing stand-up?
Ooh, about 20 something.
Yeah, we're up there. I'm 30. Yeah. It's my 33rd year.
Okay.
So after you do it so long, you take for granted. You don't take for granted, but you forget that it's one of the hardest jobs in the world.
Really is.
You got to get a response every time. You know what I mean? It's like you can tell a few jokes that don't work, and you can work on some stuff, but eventually you got to get a good response out of the crowd.
Now, question: when all of this hit, and you were sitting down for a while, when you finally got back to the stage, were you nervous?
Yeah, I was. Well, I talked to other comics. I don't know if you had this. I had this little thing in me like, what if it's not funny anymore? What if I'm not funny anymore?
I had that.
What if my stuff doesn't work? So you're really nervous, and it went away after 3 or 4 jokes because you're like, then you're almost like, then it's like the riding the bike came back, and for me it was the first. I did a show in October, and it took me 3 shows to really get my feet back. I think and it felt a little bit better.
For me, it took a lot longer, because one of the things I was going through is I had been doing so many ships that I had neglected land, and for me, that's totally a different animal.
Right,
The stuff I say on land totally different than the stuff on ships, because you already know ships are, you can't push it.
Right. Plus, there's tons of material you can do here that you can't do on land, and vice versa, really, for that matter. Right.
So
it's the push it part.
When COVID hit, I was like, okay, I'm going to use this time to get back to stage, because we still had a couple of little spots in Chicago most of the time that was running.
Right.
So I started hitting those, and it took me a while because I was doing new jokes every time I went up.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. And I couldn't get my footing, and I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, wait a second. Do a set that you know and see what happens.
Right.
When I did that, I was like, oh, okay. So now I can build by adding to the set that I already know.
Right. Yeah. Right.
One of the sets I know, and then go from there. That's when it finally came back to me.
Yeah, which is kind of the process that we all did before we hit ships. But I noticed, like, when I went out in October, it took me about 3 or 4 shows to figure it out. And I tend to go up and start with new stuff until it's not working, and then go into my show or whatever.
Okay.
And then, but I always sneak something new in every show. But the advantage to doing the shows, like, we were off from March till October was my first real show, October. So however, that's 6 months or whatever, without doing a real headline set. So then I did a headline set in Oklahoma City, and I got up on stage. And the advantage you have there is you're there for a week, but you can do the same show every day.
Right.
So that's when you do a show you're familiar with, you have a spine of a show you're working on.
Right.
And then you feel comfortable by the end of the week. So it took me a while. It took me 2 or 3 shows to get that figured out on land. But then when I came here, this is my first ship back. It really took me almost into this week to get my feet back as far as the way we work on the ship, because it's a different style. You know, there's so many
Right.
different shows we're doing and different material. So you have to remember, like when you do a bit in the first night, I'll go, oh, I don't want to do that bit,
right?
Because it sets up another bit that I'm definitely doing in the theater.
Exactly.
And so that's a whole different thought process. So it took me a while to get that thought process squared away on the ship again. You know what I mean?
And for me, because normally I do the bigger ships like this, I started out with a small ship. You know, fewer shows, but a longer time.
Right.
So I did 2 theater shows. Well, actually, it ended up being 3 theater shows because they moved the adult show to the theater. But the adult show, that's easy because you know how to do that.
Sure.
But that first family friendly, and you're sitting there, okay, I haven't done a family friendly set in a long time. And the first one I'm going to do is 45 minutes. It's like,
Right.
okay, it's going to be a lot of pauses, a lot of drink breaks. Whatever. You figure this out one way or another.
I need some water.
It's like, yeah. It's like, how you doing? There's a lot of those. But so I was there for 3 weeks, was home for less than a week, and then I came here. So I caught on to that. Second week, I was in it. Third week, I was good. But then when I got here, totally different, because now I got to work every night. Well,
Right.
pretty much every night.
Right.
And the shows are a little bit shorter, and now you got to adjust more because you got to figure what are you going to do. And for me, I have a system for like the week-long ships like this, where I have a setup show that I do at the beginning. And then I have my theater show. And then I have a show that can go either right before the theater or right after the theater. Then I do my ending show. So in the course of the week, I can break it down like that. So trying to remember those different sets
Right.
was a headache. Luckily, I record audio.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
I get to go back and, play it back and go, oh, I remember this.
Yeah,
now.
I noticed that you had your phone off stage on the bottom there. Yeah, I do the same thing. I record everything audio wise. Because then if I think of something or if I do something on stage, I'll go back and listen to it and go, what did I do?
Because you
I
are
did something
never going to
different.
remember that.
No, you're not.
Ever.
Right.
It'd be the best joke ever. You like, I'm going to remember that. No, you're not.
Right.
And no one's going to be able to tell you what you said.
Right. And you do so many shows. Like already this week, I started mixing shows together. I was doing the
Right.
theater show last night. And I started a bit. I go, wait a minute, did I do this week already? And
That's the worst.
Yeah, it is. And you're like, I don't want to do this if I did it. And you start thinking, and then you go, I'm pretty sure you start to think of the shows. Well, no, I did this night and this another night, and
One of my theater shows, I thought I did a joke that same show. I
Right.
thought I did the joke that I was about to do
in the same
in
show.
the beginning of the show. I was like,
Shit, did I open with that?
I was like, yeah. I was like, I can't do that. Wait, 100 years ago, I was working with Mike Epps, and Mike Epps at the time was a straight killer on stage. I mean,
Right.
just bulletproof. He was the type of person, you know how we've all been the guy where, okay, you do a show with somebody and their show is so hot that people go to you and they go, oh, you were funny too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike's
You were the
show,
funny too guy?
Yeah. Mike's show was so hot, it was like nothing else happened on stage.
Right.
And at the time, I used to have a set that if I worked it right, I can pull a standing O. I knew I could do it.
Right.
And so, first couple of nights, I'm watching him murder, and he's just erasing everything I did. And so, then I go, all right, cool. I'm taking off the gloves. I'm going for it. I was hitting everything on the right marks and everything. Got to the point, I hadn't even finished my last joke, and the standing O was already coming. I was like, get that. I got it. So, Damon Williams, as soon as I get off stage, he's like, you know what? I'm not even going to do any jokes. I'm just going to bring Mike Epps right up. And within 60 seconds, everybody that was standing on their feet was damn near falling on the floor laughing.
Right.
But that's not the point of this story. A good friend, Mark Simmons, not even a friend.
Yeah.
Mark Simmons is my cousin.
Cousin, right.
Yeah, so Mark Simmons, when I first started working with him, was like, yeah, Mike's funny. Just don't let him come in there drunk, high, or depressed. I was like, what does that mean? I saw that show.
Right.
Now, it started off hilarious.
Yeah.
But it was very wild and uncontrolled. Then he had a heckler. He took care of the heckler. Then, that was about the 20-minute mark. He started to repeat the show from the beginning.
Oh, no, really?
It was and the funny part was, because people could tell right now that he was a little high.
Right.
And what was funny about it was, it took them a while to figure out. I was like, this ain't on purpose. He really thinks
he
this is
doesn't
the
know what
beginning.
he's doing.
He's really at the beginning. At one point, he went to lean on the mic stand. and the mic stand was like 5 feet behind him. And we're all in the back like, no, please don't fall. Lord, don't. If he falls, it's going to be over.
Right.
It was just I had never seen that before. And then when I was going through that on stage, I was sitting there like, damn it, I almost pulled a Mike Epps. I was about to repeat this.
Yeah, but you were sober.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy in Chicago years ago, Jimmy Higgins, not Wiggins. There was Jimmy Wiggins, who was the hippie comic.
I remember him.
Yeah, and then there was Jimmy Higgins, who was before Jimmy Wiggins.
No, I don't remember.
Jimmy Higgins was a brilliant comic, a great writer, really, really funny, but a terrible boozer, like really bad. It was so bad he quit the business because he just couldn't handle it. Now, from what I understand, he lives in Oregon now, and he tried to come back some years ago, but still, and then left again. He's like, I just can't. And he's not drinking. He's sober now, but there's something about being in a bar doing shows he just couldn't handle. But I used to work with him, and he would if you had 2 shows, you know, you do the first show Friday, he'd start hard before the show, and by the second show, I mean, he could barely get up on stage. And I saw him. There's a club on Ashland, North Ashland. It's not there anymore. It's right across the street from where Steppenwolf is, or used to be. And it was a high stage, like a high 4-foot stage. So the people's heads are like the ground is here, right? So people are like watching the show, and there's a stage that's set up kind of in this dining room. And he took a header backwards off the stage and fell back behind the stage. Yeah, and just passed out, just laid there, and just laid. And and they go, and the manager comes out. He's looking at him, and he looks at me. We look, and the manager's like, "Thanks for coming out, everyone. Have a nice night." And that was the end of the show. And I turn around, and they thought he hit his head, but he passed out. He was a blackout drunk. He used to get drunk really bad, and black out. And he had like 3 Letterman auditions that he blew because he showed up drunk. It was sad.
He must have been funny because if you get 3,
he was really funny.
Yeah,
he was he was a scream. He won funniest Chicago comic like every year, and he won a couple other contests and some other stuff. But he really blew a lot of opportunities because of his booze. It was sad.
Dude, it was just.
But he quit. He's better now, but
there's this one comic, and older comic, white guy. He's I think he's dead now. I really wish I could remember his name. But he was a big time drunk.
Chicago guy?
Yep.
Okay.
He's blonde. Oh, damn. What is his name? But I got booked to feature for him for Zanies.
Okay.
And they asked me to pick him up.
John Fox?
Yes.
Okay.
John Fox. I'm so glad you remembered his name. Because I've been trying to tell this story for the longest. And so John Fox lived up north. I'm on the south side.
Right.
They asked me to pick him up. I'm a young comic. Yeah, I drove to the north side to pick him up.
Right.
Not thinking that this is a grown man that can't drive. No. But I found out why he can't drive. So on the way, we're just talking, having conversation, you know. And he's really a nice guy. Nicest guy. And he's like, as we're pulling into the lot, he's like, hey, could you drop me across the street at that bar? Okay, cool. So I drop him off. I come in. They're like, hey, where's John? I was like, oh, I dropped him off at the bar. No! Literally, people are running to the door.
Yeah.
And they're grabbing me like, don't you ever.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a grown man. How am I supposed to tell him no?
Yeah.
I don't even know this dude. Y'all told me to pick him up.
Yeah.
Give me the rules.
Yeah. He was a mess, man.
Oh, yeah.
He lived in the condo. He lived next door to the condo, the Zanies condo. You know the building behind? Yeah, he lived there for a long time.
Oh, okay.
Before he passed away. He passed away maybe, it was 4 or 5 years ago, I think. I want to say he passed away. He used to open up with that fireman joke. That was his thing.
Dude, it was funny.
He came from that generation too. It was him and who were the other guys? I don't want to say Ed Fiala, maybe. It wasn't so much booze with Ed. I don't know if it was gambling or what, but these guys back during the boom, like I started right around the boom, and when there were clubs everywhere. At the time, there were like 7 to 8 clubs in Chicago, and to headline, guys were getting like $4 or $5 grand a week, like big money. And to feature, when I was featuring, I was getting 15 to 18 a week, just to middle, right? So
I miss those days. Those days happened before I got there.
Yeah, I was featuring, and right when the crash came down, right when I went up. So I went from middling for making 14 or 15 a week to headlining for 16. So, and then I knew guys at the time like Chaz Elsner, who works on ships now, but he was one of those guys that was just crushing it back then. And I talked to him around that time, and he was like, he used to fly everywhere, and now he's driving a Honda and he's on the road. I mean, I can only imagine what it would be like to have your money cut in half. You know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah.
Like that. And that's what happened to a lot of guys. But a lot of these guys would go to a place, and John Fox would do this all the time. he would go out and spend all his money on drugs and coke and gamble or whatever, and then call the next club and ask for an advance.
Exactly.
And they would send him money, and then they go and spend that money. So they'd show in already in the
hole.
in the red, right? Is that it, or the black? Which one is it? The red or the black? Which is good?
I don't know. Either way,
never know.
It's bad.
Either way, it's bad. Either way,
Can you tell that neither one of us are financially sound? It's like, I don't
know what those financial words mean.
No.
I know broke.
Oh yeah,
I'm familiar with that word.
So that's what I know he was. So. But yeah, because they were telling me he would literally drink. He would drink all his pay.
Yeah.
For the week. So like he would leave owing money.
Yeah. Happened a bunch of times. Yeah, that guy was a mess.
He was nice too. Well, we had some interesting times because I picked him up. We did like Thursday, Friday, Saturday at Riddles.
Right.
And so the first night, and I'm driving him back to us. I was like, "Yeah, you're a pretty funny guy. You know, you're good. You're a good feature. Blah 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 blah." And then the next night, we were driving home. He's like, "Yeah, man, it's kind of hard getting you off the stage when you're done. It's like, the people still want you laughing." Then the third night, he said, "Yeah, they're laughing because you're black, right?" And I sat there like, I can't believe you just told me that.
What?
I was like, damn. But yeah, some of these stories I've met some cool people and some interesting people doing this shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I don't miss the old road days. I'm very happy on ships. You know what I mean? It's a good gig. It's something
though. I don't miss the road part, the driving there to getting there. I like going into a club that I don't know.
Yeah.
And having to figure it out.
Oh, really?
I love that feeling.
Oh, I hate that.
That's the thing. The whole, I'm in a city that I don't know, and I'm standing there watching these people come in, and I'm going, I gotta get them one way or another. Right. I like that. Now, the process of getting the gig, getting to the gig, getting to the hotel, all of that, I could leave that.
Yeah. Well, some of the hustle I could lose. Yeah, I could lose a lot of that hustle. I love the shows. I like working different markets, but I don't like going into a new room, bro. I like to be familiar with the room. For my first couple of nights in a new room is always like, how is this going to go?
Yeah, it's a very heightened feeling, but I got used to that.
Yeah,
it was one of those things where, because I don't call it being nervous, and I haven't called it being nervous in a long time. It was like being highly aware of all the possibilities.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I always call it like an excited energy. Someone says, "Dude," I always get a little nervous before every show, but I think it's more excited energy. There's another word I use for it too, but it's not. But yeah, it's like an energy. It's just this weird energy you get before you get up there.
And you have to tame it in order to do the show.
Yeah,
if you don't tame it, the timing's off. You're flying through stuff too fast.
Yeah,
it's literally controlling the pace.
Right.
Whatever your pace is, you have to control it and not that energy, because that energy will send you off.
Yeah, that's what kills me, dude. I have a tendency to talk really fast. So, and I catch myself like in all of my opening jokes, I purposely pause 3 times in them just because when I listen to tapes, I go, what the
I was like, why am I
speedballing
speedballing
about
this?
Yeah, this is like 45 minutes of material I just did in 20 minutes. And some of it is so much funnier when you slow down.
Exactly.
It was, I think Jerry Seinfeld said once, I was watching an interview with him, he goes, you can never tell a joke slow enough. And I'm like, that's a pretty good analogy, I guess. But I used to worry about people figuring it out till I got to the end. But it's not so much that, but it's after you tell a joke so many times, you're like, they're going to know where I'm going with this. You know, so I start to think that.
It's one of those things because I'm a naturally fast talker anyway.
Right.
So on stage now, I have to go slow. If I don't go slow, I'm burning through this material fast, real fast. So I have to almost go uncomfortably slow.
Right. Yeah, dude, I noticed that in you, and I gotta be honest with you, you've helped me this week because I've been listening to my tapes, and I listen, and I do the show, and then I get mad. That's me. I listen, I do the show, and then I get pissed. That's me. It's like I don't learn my lessons, but watching you before me a couple times, even when you do the 5-minute warm up, I'm like, oh, look at you're taking your time, and it just makes me think mentally. Like I'm trying to do this new thing now before I hit the stage, just take a almost like a meditate thing, you know, because I get that nervous energy combined with going on stage and doing the show, and I'm high energy anyway, kind of. It all explodes into a mess unless I go up there with some sort of cadence, slow cadence.
Have you ever worked with Rodney Laney?
No.
Rodney Laney is the perfect example of taking your time.
Yeah.
Rodney Laney has a pace that's so slow, and I will be afraid to go at his pace because it seems unnatural.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's his act is literally a Novocaine drip.
Right.
You're watching the drip go. You're watching the drip go. It's not changing, but the audience is building.
Right. Right.
So next thing you know, before you know, it's like they're all laughing like crazy, and he has not changed his pace one drip.
Right.
And it's amazing to watch.
Dude, that's a profession. That's a professional. That's a professional. That's a guy. Franklin Ajayi is like that. You ever seen Ajayi perform?
Yeah.
Dude, I saw him at the Improv one night, and I've always loved him. I loved his work. I sat in the Improv and watched him. The Improv. I sat in the Improv too. But I sat and I watched him in that room. Same thing, same approach. And what a guy like that does is makes the stage his own, and he dictates. Now it's his show. He doesn't worry about what the crowd's doing or how to get the crowd going. He does his thing, and the crowd goes along with him because he's that good. And Franklin, dude, Franklin never raises his voice above the. And I watch the whole show. You know what I mean? And you laugh. So he's brilliant writer, very funny. But the power he holds with that silence is such a huge. It's impressive.
And as comedians, most of us, I think, fear silence.
Yeah.
And it can be an extremely powerful tool.
Yeah, I learned that through improv. Taught me that silence is good, but then sometimes I still, you know what? It was after the 18-month shutdown, dude. There was a big readjustment of getting on stage, and it was just reminding myself of those things. Even though I've been doing this 30 years, I'm like, oh shit, I got to slow down.
The thing is, you never learn it all, and you never do it all.
Right.
So you're always trying to catch that one thing that you're not getting quite right, and the minute you catch that, then you realize, oh shit, I didn't do that. Will I ever get this shit right?
See, I get so mad at myself.
It's like,
well, you idiot, pay attention to what you're doing.
It's so much to just. You're never where you. Very rarely are you where you want to be.
Right.
I mean, there are points where you're in the pocket in a set or in a bit, but I watched D.L. Hughley. There was a point in time where I was featuring for him quite a bit during my improv and Funny Bone run. And for him, this was already when he was one of the kings of comedy. He was D.L. Hughley at this point. I watched him do something I had never seen a comic that big do. I watched him working on bits in between shows.
Right.
I mean, literally with a pen and a pad.
Right.
Him and his manager, him and his people going, okay, that joke didn't go the way we wanted it to. What did I do? Blah, blah, blah. I was so impressed by that. Now, first of all, D.L. Hughley, to me, when I watched him on Kings of Comedy, a lot of people say, well, he went first, so he was the least funny. Nah, he ain't the least funny.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Bernie was Bernie, so you wasn't going to beat that.
Right.
But real talk, if I had to put anybody second, it's going to be him.
Right.
Because I watched him on the Kings of Comedy, it's almost like he's punching the clock. I tell anybody, go to watch him live and see what you see. Because at that point, now he's letting it loose and he's doing his show the way he wants, not following not the system of the Kings of Comedy.
Right.
Watching his show is way more intelligent. Not to say that the other stuff is, but he's way more thought-provoking, way more controversial that way. It is amazing to watch him work. He does a bit where, and he was doing this at the end of his shows, where he would talk to 7 different people in the audience, find out their name, and what they do for a living. And the next 5 minutes, he's literally bouncing jokes off of all 7.
Right.
And it's different every night because it's always different people.
Sure, right, yeah.
And different jobs. And I never saw him mess that up.
Right.
I'm watching his mind go, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, right.
I could never do. I can't remember one person's name in the audience, let alone 7 and what they do.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been working on this shit for years. I don't know none of these people's names.
Yeah,
I know like 5 names.
Yeah.
So to watch him do that every night was impressive.
That's great. I've never seen D.L. Hughley.
It was so much fun working with him because he was really cool. First time I worked with him, I was terrified. I got a call from Stroop. I had just sent him my tape like 4 days earlier. He saw it. He liked it. I was actually referred to him by Alex Ortiz. And so he saw it, he liked it. I get a call. He's like, hey, you doing anything this weekend? I was like, no. He goes, I need you to come down to Cincy and open for D.L. Hughley. I was like, cool, this is great. Oh my God, this is my opportunity. And I get down there. I'm literally so nervous I can't eat.
Right.
I mean, I literally can't eat. So I get to the show. The host is always a local guy. And I'm nervous. So I ask him a question. I was like, hey, man, how are the crowds here? He's like, man, they're rough. They're rough. They boo everybody. They boo everybody except me. And when he said that, I was like, okay, I'm good. No. I mean, look, the everybody except me guy.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So now he was cool up until that point, and he was even a nice guy after that. But when he said that, I was like, okay, I'm good.
You're the man.
I'm good. And so he gets up, he does his time. I get up, I'm hyper focused, I'm ready. I got this. I'm killing the audience. Everything's working like this. The host kind of feels some way about it. Now, you know, working at the Improv and the Funny Bone, if you're hosting, when the middle act comes down, you do the announcements and you bring the headliner.
Right.
You're at most you're up there 2 minutes at the most.
Right. Especially the guy like DL, that's the draw on the ticket.
Oh
right?
Yeah. This dude does another 15 minutes.
Oh, no shit.
Trying to show me up.
Oh, right. Oh, God.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
That literally D.L. Hughley, and I remember this because he had on a white suit.
Dude, I'd be pissed if I was him. You know what I mean? That's his stage now. He's like, dude, what are you doing?
Dude, D.L. Hughley is no longer in the back.
Right.
I can see him on the side, standing there looking at this man like this. In this white suit, in a dark room.
Intimidating look right
and I'm
there,
sitting
dude.
there like, oh my God. So the manager, she's, what I can't remember her name. She's next to me and she goes, so how much time can you do? I said, well, how much do you need?
Yeah.
You know how to go.
I got whatever you need.
And so that was the first show of the night. So after that show, they tell him, look, you can't do all that. You just have to do the job. Blah, 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 blah. So the second show, instead of doing 15 minutes, he does 10.
No way. Between acts again?
Still. So, and those two things were the second dumbest thing he did that night.
Oh, what was the worst? What was the first?
The absolute worst. So by the end of the night, he's heard the rumblings that they don't necessarily want him to come back.
Right.
So DL, his manager, and his bodyguard are leaving. And DL says, all right, everybody, I'll see y'all tomorrow. And this guy goes, well, that depends on you. DL turns around and says, excuse me? He's like, yeah, that depends on you. It seems that they don't like the way I ran the show, so they don't want me to come back. But I can come back if you say so. Putting it all on him.
No shit, really?
I was sitting there like this. Oh, this is bad.
Dude, that's not you're right. That is the number one.
I was sitting there like, Jesus, it was so, and DL goes, really? Okay, I'll look into that. Of course, that dude never came back.
Yeah, right.
And it was bad because he was supposed to take me out the next day and show me Cincinnati. I called that dude. He didn't answer none of my calls.
There ain't no way. Yeah, right.
I was like, damn it, man. I'm stuck in this hotel room.
You can look around Cincinnati on your own. Plus, why would you want to spend a day with a guy like that?
I just wanted, well, look, he's going to show me around. He's going to take me wherever. I could deal with that just to see.
Right.
And like I said, he was okay until those two things he did. I was just sitting there like, yikes.
Those are pretty big things, though, bro.
They were huge.
Yeah, that's not a little mistake.
Yeah.
But I can't believe you get the balls to throw it on DL on the way out the door.
Dude, it was so bad. Now, because the dude, like I said, he was really cocky and he was bragging to me about how great he was.
Sure, right, yeah, great.
So after the first show, because his girlfriend and his people came to the first show, this was what really made it bad. His girl was telling me, you are really funny, blah, 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 blah. You do this, this, and this. I keep trying to get him to do things this way. And I was sitting there like, ooh, that's a burn.
This is a terrible night for him.
Oh, yeah.
Overall, it's a really bad night for him.
It was an awful night.
It can't get any worse, man.
Dude, this business is hilarious. Some of the stuff you'll see.
Yeah. Dude, all right. So where do you go from here, man? You're here for 6 weeks. Do you got more shifts booked later?
Right now, I think I signed a Holland contract.
Wow, did you really? Have you done Holland yet?
Never. And so
They're old, bro.
I know.
I haven't pushed for Holland. My agent's like, we got to get you in Holland. I'm
They
like, don't
just
rush.
I'm gonna do that in March. I got some other stuff coming up. I do a resort in
All right,
November.
you told me around
yeah.
Thanksgiving time.
Yeah, in St. Martin. I do that.
That'll be cool.
I'm trying to pick up some stuff in Chicago just to stay. From when I do this till that. So I'm just gonna hit Chicago pretty hard.
Right.
And do that thing.
Nice.
And then gonna try to hit New York sometime soon. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe January. See if I can pull that off.
All right. I've never gone out to New York to do spots or anything, man. By the time once I get moved. When I left Chicago, it was either go to. Well, first of all, I started stand up in L.A. When I left Chicago and started.
Really?
Yeah, I started in. I was in the restaurant business for years. I was like a sous cook or sous chef, and then I was with Little Caesars for 6 years, where I ran all the stores in Orange County.
Really?
Yeah, I ran 13 stores, something like that. I was an area supervisor, I think, or something. It was too much for me, bro. It was way too much. I couldn't do it. It was a lot of pressure. I cracked. You know what I mean? I went back.
Damn, the pizza industry's brutal.
It's a lot, dude. It was before there was any internet or type stuff, and there was 2 days a week or 1 day a week and one extra day a month. I had to hit every store. So it's 13 stores because I had payroll. You dropped off payroll physically.
Oh,
in the
damn.
stores. So I would drop off checks. So, dude, it was like all day Friday was just driving all over LA, dropping shit off. And then
wait, driving across LA?
Yeah.
Damn, what time did you start?
I had all the way from LA to San Clemente. That's the scan that they were just growing out there, and they grew too fast. And I mean, eventually I think they sold a bunch of the stores and went franchise. But it was too much. It was too much driving around. Plus, I did one time I went on vacation and left left the guy in charge of my area, and I came back and to find out that he was stealing money from the bank deposits and buying heroin and shooting up. And it was a rough ending to a pizza career.
Okay.
But I started doing.
Who knew pizza was that damn serious?
Dude, it was way more involved than when I started out. We just would smoke a joint and make a pizza. That's all it was. It was simple back then. So
how did it get to be so crazy?
Balancing food costs and everything else.
And all of a sudden, you're dealing with Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, it was the worst. He's 22 years. I'm 22. I was not ready for any of that crap. No. But it got away. But I started doing stand up out there, and I came back. I came back to Chicago. Why did I start that story?
I always thought you started in Chicago.
Yeah, people always think that. I came back eventually when there were a lot of clubs there. So I did. Back then was Riddles was at 157th in Harlem.
Yep.
And I taped my first CD there. And then there was Double Exposure, Catch a Rising Star, Firm.
I liked Riddles when it was out there. That was when it was.
I love that room. Yeah, there was Kenny was a lot of guys don't like Kenny and they had problems with Kenny, but he was the first guy to headline me.
I like Kenny.
Yeah, I get along with Kenny. He was the first guy to headline me. He was also he maybe wear a coat. I used to have really long hair and wear bandanas and ripped up clothes. And he would go, "Do you need to dress like a professional?" He's one of those, and I was loud. And he's like, "You scare people because you're big and loud." And I never understood because it was early on in my career.
Right. You got to learn what you look like to people,
right?
What you present to people,
right?
And what you want to present to people.
Sure, yeah.
Because those don't always line up.
Right. And people also assume who you are real quick when you hit the stage. You know what I mean? So they're going to assume who you are by you visually, and then by your third or fourth joke, they're going to figure out who this guy is. Right. And I always open up with energy anyway, so that I come out, so it's a little much. Because when I used to go after hecklers, I used to I used to go after them, but then I would alienate the whole room and be afraid of me.
Oh yeah.
And Kenny would be like, "They're afraid of you." I go, "Really? Why?" He's like, "What do you mean, why?"
My brother-in-law calls me the non-threatening Negro.
Okay.
And it's the funniest shit because he's a cop.
Yeah.
He's a retired cop. Big guy, work traffic. So he had that cop face.
This is the second time you're calling me while I'm recording a podcast. Why do you? Yeah, you're keeping it real, all right. I gave you a call time. What's your problem? It's JP. He's supposed to be here in 7 minutes.
It would be JP.
I'm talking to Frank Townsend. I'm podcasting Frank Townsend right now.
You're cutting into my time.
You're cutting it in. Now you pissed him off.
Haven boy. Okay, everybody. They moved us to different rooms and they put him in the Haven. This is JP because he's been with the company 105 years.
Okay, bye.
No. I'm telling the people about JP.
I know you are.
JP,
I'm not cutting this out either. Leave it.
No, because JP is their chosen boy. So they moved him to the Haven. That's where they put all the rich people. They have butlers up there. They have people playing harps, all types of stuff. That's what JP got.
Yeah.
They put us in regular rooms. JP
Yeah.
walks on rose petals like the king of Zamunda.
That wasn't even JP that called me. That was his assistant.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he gave me a buzz. He's like, Mr. Parent will be with you as soon as he possibly can. He's a little tied up with this rub down right now. Click.
Okay. So what are we talking about?
When you're starting out, I don't care. KJ Riddles. Oh, a physical appearance on stage. People assume who you are. I open up with energy.
Yeah.
The audience decides who you are. Oh, your brother-in-law.
Oh, yeah.
Calls you the non-threatening.
The non-threatening Negro, because he's like a big cop type. It's like, and so he worked traffic for 20 years. So that dude's listened to a lot of lies. So his regular resting face is like it's a rough look. It's like, nicest guy, really is a sweetheart of a guy. We're in Hawaii once, and we were just talking about how no one is speaking to him because he's got the cop face.
Sure, right. He looks
But
like a cop,
everybody
even though
sees
he's
me.
retired, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm happy. Everybody sees me, they're happy. We're coming around this corner. The whole family's coming around this corner. And he goes around the corner first. This guy coming the opposite direction, almost bumps into him. Looks up, and is like, and kind of walks around. Sees me next. Hey, how you doing? My brother's like, come on, man. You saw me. You saw me first.
He's not making it any better.
No,
he's aggressively complaining about not.
It was, the funny thing. It was so funny because he was really hurt. Like, dude, you could have said hi to me.
It's starting to wear on him.
It was like he's got that cop face. He really does.
Still does.
Still
does.
does.
I guess after years in the force, you don't lose it.
Right, no,
you don't
no.
just automatically be like,
No.
You know what I mean?
And it's the traffic cop face too. So the one that's coming up after you ran the light and you're trying to explain why.
Yeah.
And he's got that.
The big long story.
Like,
Officer, you're not going to believe what happened.
Oh yeah, he's like,
I know.
no, I'm not.
I know. I've
That's
never
why I'm
heard
still
this
writing.
one. Never heard this one before.
That's why I'm still writing.
Here you go.
So,
all right, man. Let's wrap this up before Stupid gets here.
that dude.
Hey, first of all, do you have a website? Throw that out there.
No website right now.
All right. What about social media tags and stuff like that?
Frank Townsend 50 on Instagram. And on Facebook, it's just Frank Townsend. So I don't do Twitter. I never really liked Twitter.
Right.
I just thought it was just a place that was just too mean.
Everybody's on Instagram now. We were talking about this the other day. Artists end up on Instagram. It's an easier platform for us to advertise
And
our
TikTok,
stuff.
I'm on there. I don't know what my name is. It's probably Frank Townsend 50.
Right.
But I don't have a lot on there. I got to start. I got to bump that one up.
Yeah, right. I know,
TikTok's
it's
important.
too many, man. All right, man. Frank Townsend. Dude, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
This
man.
is awesome. Of course, man.